the biggest thing is people are afraid to ask questions because they might not get a reply that they want. But we're here. I'm here. Connect with me on social media. I'll make a connection. I'll take time because so much was given to me, and I'm so appreciative to all the people that given their time. I'm here to pay it forward.
Welcome, everyone, to the Road Less Traveled Show. This is a show about people that were successful in a previous career and left that career to go down a different path. I'm your host, Richard Coyne. On today's show, we're so pleased to have Vlad Arakcheyev on with us. So, Vlad, thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity and the chance to be on your show.
Absolutely. We're really pleased to have you on the Road Less Traveled show. So Vlad, if you would, can you kind of go into a little bit of your background and tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done over your career and give us a little of your history?
Sure. Yeah. I started my career as a real estate agent. I mean, as before the real estate agent, that's the real estate career. But way before that, graphic designer has nothing to do with real estate whatsoever. Right. And I'm like, and now I completely made 180. Then did a real estate agent, still am in New Jersey, selling residential houses, did some flipping, did some wholesaling. And now I'm in large multifamily. So it was very difficult to transition from being a graphic designer to a real estate space. They're completely unrelated, and you cannot transfer any skills. Maybe when I read the OMs, I notice all the mistakes that people make. Because I have an eye for design, and of course I was creating books and magazines, and then I quote unquote graduated to making huge billboards that you see on the side of the highway. So it was really interesting.
Was that in New Jersey or was that somewhere else?
It was in New Jersey. Actually, if you think about it, it was a perfect job. I was 5 minutes away.
Wow.
5 minutes away, just 2 miles. I had to drive to work. And I used to make, banners for Madison Square Garden and wrap Zambonis and buses and cars. So it's really cool to see, like, you drive on the side of the highway and you see the billboard that you made. I was like, I did that. So it was really cool. And then COVID hit and I got furloughed because we're not essential business. And I didn't know what to do, where to go, and if I'm going to be called back, because who knows what's going to happen. And I have 2 kids, wife, mortgage, 3 cats. And we needed to make a change. And the change was actually my wife, Olga, she suggested, she goes, why don't you be a real estate agent? Have some extra source of income coming in. Let's try it. Why not? So I said, yeah, sure. I got recalled back. And at the same time, at night, I was taking night classes to pass 70 hours of real estate exam that I needed to take. Past that, all good, started doing residential sales. And it was going well for a little bit. And then I started wholesaling, which is like, wow, look at that. And then some flips here and there. But ultimately, I realized that you cannot grow in scale because as you stop outreach and looking for deals, like the machine stops. Right. So the next natural step is multifamily. We're thinking, what do we need to do? So let's go into multifamily. And the funniest thing how it happened is we're just sitting on the couch watching TV. At that time, I used to watch TV, not anymore. And my wife goes, I just bought us tickets to MFIN. It's a multifamily conference in Houston. And I'm like, Houston, please tell me it's like a town in New Jersey. She's like, no, we're flying to Texas. So I didn't even know what I was getting myself into because I'm like, but I don't know anything about multifamily. I'm doing residential stuff. And just start it if you kind of figure. And but after going there and coming back, I was blown away by what I seen and all the everything, all the people that they gave so much value to you. They're there to help you. And I was just blown away. And passive income, that's where it's at. If you want to be successful and have true wealth, I think that's where you have to be, especially now we see what's happening. So, and here I am, completely quit my W-2.
Wow.
I'm no longer a designer. That happened last December, not this December, but last December, so like a year and a half ago.
Oh, wow.
And I'm 100% into real estate and multifamily. So,
are you still doing single family homes as a agent? Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. Cause it's kind of fun. Yeah. And plus it kind of brings you extra boost of income where I can, put it into another syndication or another JV. So I don't want to give that up just yet.
Yeah.
Will I? I don't know. Ask me in a couple of years.
Sure.
But right now, no. I'm sticking to be an agent for now.
Yeah, but I like how you got started. In the real estate side to begin with. You were already, you already had a job. Okay, yes, COVID forced you to kind of come up with something to do, but at the same point in time, you did get recalled back to your graphic design job, but you also still saw the need to kind of develop something else on the side, which is again a lot of what we talk about with our podcast guests and, just in our one-on-one conversations with family, friends, others who are trying to figure things out, having a W-2 job is fine. Great. Maybe you love your job, but still develop some other income stream, that's, you never know when it's going to be, what you are forced to rely upon, but at the same point in time, even if you still, like I said, even if you still have your day job and you love it and you're doing great in terms of producing the money for your family, et cetera, still think and work and kind of come up with another idea, just because, again, it never hurts to have multiple streams of incomes. And, and again, you jumped into that early. So very good. So as you're now doing the larger stuff, the multifamily, tell me a little bit about that. What kind of size deals are you doing? Things like that.
Sure. The biggest thing for me was, what do I need to do to be in multifamily? And a lot of people struggle with that. And I realized where I basically took my yearly goal and cut it down in 12 months and then cut that down in 4 weeks. So my biggest thing is education and networking.
Yeah.
Because you can't do it by yourself. It's not a thing where you just buy an apartment complex all by yourself. You need partners for that. So in order to get that, I needed to join a community or a mastermind. I interviewed everybody. I think I interviewed 6 of them at least. And I joined Jake and Gino. I am part of them. And they really accelerated my growth education-wise, of course, and of course partnerships, because my deals are in Texas, in Dallas and Houston, Kansas City, and the Carolinas. So how can I, living in New Jersey, do deals in Texas? So of course I connected with fellow Jake and Gino members who do deals in Texas. They already had some sort of a Slack channel, and we have a Asana for deal flow. And that's how I started underwriting, raising capital. I mean, just trying to absorb as much as I can.
Nice.
So that's the thing. Right now I'm looking for 20 doors and up. Value add properties, like I said, in Dallas, Houston. I'll consider San Antonio, but right now with what's happening in the market, we kind of, not in the best market with, high interest rates. I'm looking in, I would say, somewhere in the safer areas, right? I would say B areas. Because I had better experience with lenders where they pulled out of the deal and the deal fell apart. Yeah, I know. And it hurt. It really hurt. So right now I'm being super careful when it comes to choosing an area and an asset.
That makes sense, and I'm sorry to hear that you had to the bank pull out on you. But that's not you're not the first person I've heard about that. And again, I get it. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. Interest rates have gone up, but at the same point in time, but to really hurt somebody financially, and to pull out of a deal by the lender, that's awful. Yeah.
2 weeks before closing. 2 weeks before closing. And you know what? I feel bad for investors and everybody, but we had few people with 1031s in the deal. So they were out of the ID window. They could not do anything, right? So instead of deferring their paying their taxes, they got stuck. So they have to, pay the taxes, take a hit. They have no choice. So I felt bad for them. And of course, obviously by association, my name was like, oh my God, I can't believe Vlad put us in this deal. But it wasn't our fault. We did everything we could to salvage and save the deal. And in addition, all of the investors, we gave another deal that was already closed. So they were 100% sure to get tax benefits and reinvest their capital, and a lot of them taking that opportunity.
Good. Yeah. Wow. So Vlad, as you look back to your graphic design days, is there a funny story you can share?
The whole graphic design is a funny story, but yeah, it's one of the coolest things. I mean, when it comes to I started doing I don't want to say boring stuff, but like business cards and stationery, things like that, and that's fairly easy, right? You can do that. And then I kind of quote unquote graduated to doing CD covers. That was really cool. So as soon as you see something like that. But one of the coolest things that I remember is I got to a new company that was doing a lot of stands for lipsticks. Like you go to Sephora and you see a bunch of lipsticks there. We used to do that. We used to do those. And every time I walk by Sephora, guess who's going inside the Sephora? Me, not my wife. My wife was like, I don't need to buy anything there. I'm like, but I want to see the new stand. Come on, let me show you. Let me show you. And I'm standing there like explaining everything to her. And she's like, oh my God, not again. Look at this, another Sephora. So I'm like, but look, I made this. I did this. I designed it on a computer. And of course, somebody else put it together. But ultimately, it was our vision and we put it together. So, I mean, it's really cool to see what you have produced in Windows as billboards, Zamboni wraps, or like, for example, I started watching hockey games. You know why? Because there's these things called dashers. Basically, on the boards of the hockey rink, you have advertisement. I used to make those. And so I'm like, look, I did this Dunkin' Donuts ad. And my wife was like, oh boy, here we go with the Dunkin' Donuts again.
Oh, that's so funny because, the world is small. I mean, I used to know an old neighbor of mine used to do fixture displays for stores. I'm sure his business has changed a long time since it's been a while. And then I know another guy who has a business that does wraps on large vehicles and among other things. And thirdly, my daughter actually was a graphic designer. She's changed fields now, but I had that same experience. She drove by a billboard on our town and she's like, I did that billboard. So
yeah, it's really exciting. Yeah, it's really exciting.
Yeah. So it kind of sounds like the deciding factor that really said, I got to do something else was really kind of COVID and the essentially being furloughed, like you said, from the graphic design world. Is that kind of, would you say that really was it?
Yeah, I would say so. And also, my wife read this book. Of course, everybody knows Rich Dad Poor Dad. And she's like, you have to read this. So I read it and I got the idea. Everybody is like, oh my God, it's the best thing ever. For me, I read it. I got the idea, but mentally I was not there. I couldn't. I'm not a business. I was not a business person. I couldn't. I didn't know how to put them together. But what really changed my focus is I went to a lot of networking events here around New Jersey. I used to go to 3 or 4 per week. I know it's a lot. And speaking with like-minded individuals really changed my focus and my mindset. So that I think networking and speaking with the people that do this, because my questions were like, what do I do next?
Right.
And they were like, we were in the same space. We were in the same spot. We'll help you. What do you need help with? I'm like, CRM. And they're like, here you go, 5 options. Pick one. So, and everybody was so generous, willing to share, and of course, team up to take down deals together. That's what it's all about. And I'm like, I just want to help as much as I can and be a fly on the wall. Just teach me. And everybody was very generous. So it was a combination of that plus, and my wife was like pushing me. She's like, come on, I'll help you with anything you can. Typically, if a spouse is against it or somebody else like family members, it's kind of difficult.
It's hard.
But in this case, my wife was very supportive. In fact, pushing me to drive harder into real estate, and with all the benefits, of course, tax benefits, of course, passive income or active income as a real estate agent. Yeah, it's a plus on all ends here. So.
Excellent. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a fantastic book. I listen to several. I tend to listen rather than reading the physical copy, because I'm usually trying to do something in the car while I'm keep my brain moving while I'm driving. But the point is that I listen to it a couple times a year, and it's an incredible book. But again, it's still up here. You got to kind of figure out, how do I take the actions at a closer to the doing it level. It doesn't give you all the answers. It gives you the concept, and you're right. It is a mind shift in terms of really kind of getting into that mindset and recognizing the flaws in the traditional education system we have in this country, and the traditional, you got to be a W-2 employee. You need that safe, steady income job, a good benefits and all that good stuff. Again, there's another world, there's another side, there's other streams of income that you can, and hopefully people do take that message out and we'll go forward and do that. So Vlad, as we're really driving toward the real estate side, you became an agent. You said you started wholesaling, you started flipping. There was education you had to, and state licensing aspect you had to go through, but were there some other obstacles you had to overcome that you can maybe mention?
Yeah, one of the biggest was, how can I do both? How can I do W-2 and real estate together? And I tried, and it like I said, try is not a good phrase in this case. You have to just do. With me trying, I could not pick up the phone from 9 to 5. I was at work. I just could not pick up the phone. So any calls that I was receiving all went to voicemails. And what I noticed is I was losing deals.
Yeah.
A lot of deals and opportunities I was missing. I'll give you one example where it was Tuesday. I reached out to a seller and he goes, I'll sell you a house. Why don't you stop by on Friday and take a look at it and we'll make it work. So it's a flip. I'm like, that's great. Friday, that's perfect. I caught because I couldn't get out of work. So I called him back on Thursday and I'm like, I'm just following up. I'm coming tomorrow just to look at your house and we're going to make a deal. He's like, sorry, I already sold it. Somebody came in and I'm like, oh my God. And that happened like 4 times.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, how much money I potentially left on the table and how much more of opportunities. Maybe he'll tell his friends and he'll friends sell me a house. So one of the most difficult decisions was, and I tend to make them really quick. I read this book where if you're going to stretch out this process, it's basically like you're going to constantly think about what's going to happen. You have to train your mind to make quick decisions and just be like, that's it, I'm done. So it was noon, lunch break. I call my wife and I'm like, send me a resignation letter. And she's like, what? I'm like, just send me a resignation letter right now. I got it in 30 seconds in my mail, printed it out, gave it to my supervisor. I'm like, that's it, I'm done. I could not lose opportunities anymore because I saw a larger future in real estate versus graphic design.
Wow.
Because I was kind of at the top of my game already. So who's higher? I don't know. The owner
Yeah.
But at the same time, I saw the owner, and he was busy all the time, and he's like pulling out his hair, and there was paper supply issues and this and that, and ink was not coming in. I mean, who knew that HP would stop producing ink when COVID hit? That
Right.
It was true. It was real. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was no paper. Come on. But I saw the potential in real estate, and especially when it comes to passive income and, of course, tax savings.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw it, it just opened my mind absolutely to all the possibilities.
So as you made that decision, first of all, there's a phrase, kind of a quote that Grant Cardone talks about, and that is something to the effect of, if you're concerned, if you're afraid, or if you're fearful, what you need to do is you need to rob fear of its greatest asset, and that is time.
Yeah.
Do it. Don't analyze it. Don't sit there and stew and kind of, oh, what about this? And again, you gotta have some preparation behind the scenes. It's you don't just walk in and quit your job. So I assume to that point you had some financial wherewithal to be able to make sure you still clothe, fed, and house your family, but you still were able to do that. So that's incredible. So
one of the biggest things, a lot of people say, I need to replace my my paycheck. That's not really accurate. You need to replace your expenses.
Right.
Because let's say you're making $200,000, but you're spending $100,000. Technically, that $100,000 extra that you have left over, that just goes into savings. You technically don't need it to live, to survive. So you just need to replace your expenses. So my expenses were much lower. Yeah, we had to all tighten up belts, but at the same time, and of course, it takes up a long time to start up a business, especially in real estate. It takes some time to see income coming in, and I'm still waiting for it. I got some distributions, but in most cases, we're still working on capex and things like that, and stabilizing our properties. So it takes some time. Really, to establish relationships. And you know what the biggest struggle for me was? To prove to people that I'm a real estate professional versus a graphic designer. Because people were still asking me,
sure,
did you see that Photoshop feature? I'm like, I haven't been in Photoshop in like 6 to 8 months. I don't know any features. Ask me about cap rates, or ask me about real estate in New Jersey. I'll give you an answer.
Right.
So so you know what I did? I started reading and educating myself on everything real estate. So I'll be a source of not only information, but a connection. So if I don't know something, I'll connect somebody who make a connection to somebody who does. So people would just get out of their heads that I'm a graphic designer, and just drive in their minds that I'm a real estate professional. So that's how I kind of overcame this transition. Is still overcoming, but so far it's been going well, I think.
Excellent. So along that transition, can you think of maybe your first victory that you can talk about that said, this is the right path, I'm really on the right path now?
One of the victories was as soon as actually this failed deal that I was talking about, it did fail. We did not close. It was 208 doors in San Antonio. My very first deal, and it was 208 doors as a syndication, which is just crazy. But it opened so many doors as people saw me, because I raised 1.4 million for that deal.
Nice. Nice.
I was shocked, and I was so active on social media and on Zoom events and networking events everywhere, promoting this deal, that I've got so many investors. The deal did not close, but it put me on a kind of, I think, it's a snowball effect. As soon as people saw that I was in a deal, and I was totally honest and transparent, I'm like, guys, it did not close. But I knew from beginning to end, up until the closing, that was the end in that case, on how everything was, and how capital raise is going, and speaking with investors, and just everything that you can think of. So even though it's a failed deal, I'm not looking at it as a failure. I think it was a starting point that started everything. And now I have 4 JV deals, in one in Bradenton, 2 in the Carolinas, 1 in Kansas City. And I worked on 3 syndications, 208 doors that did not go anywhere, unfortunately, 419 doors in North Dallas. And last week we closed on 128 doors in Dallas also. So, I mean, I could not be more blessed to be a part of this community, and really just want to thank all the people that helped me. And that's why I'm here, paying it forward.
Nice. That's great. So is there a funny story you can share, something that's happened to you recently?
Yes, actually. Oh, this is great. Okay, so in our Kansas City deal, it's 40 doors. I found it off market. It's 100% occupied, and one of the boilers broke down, water heaters. So it's not working. So we decided to replace it with these brand new on-wall units that heat up the water as you need it. Right? Brand new units, really cool. We plug it in the outlet. Everything is working. Everybody's happy. The water is super hot. And then we started receiving calls a few hours later, no hot water. We're like, how can that be? The water was just running. We call the plumber over. He looks at it. He's like, hot water is like 140 degrees. It's boiling hot. He goes away. Half a day later, no hot water. We call electrician and the plumber, everybody. Nobody could figure it out. So 2 weeks go by. 10 tenants that this unit was responsible for are upset. There's no water, no hot water. We call this head of the plumbing company. He spends 8 hours looking at everything, looking at power, looking at all the connections, looking at everything that you can think of. And he's like, I can't figure it out. I can't. And he just sits down like this and not moving. And then at the same time, the electricity shuts off and the water heaters turn off. Guess what? The outlet was connected to the motion sensor on the wall. So when people were in the basement working on stuff, the motion sensor was active, all the lights are on, hot water's running. But as soon as
no motion.
As soon as somebody leaves, there's no motion, electricity turns off, and that outlet was being controlled by that motion sensor. It took 2 weeks, and just completely accidental way of figuring this out, where a guy was just, he gave up. He's like, I don't know. And he just sits like this for like a minute trying to think. And then the electricity goes out and everything just shuts off. And he's like, oh my God. So he rewired the whole system and now everything is okay. So it's just part of, part of being in multifamily. It's really exciting though. I'm glad we figured it out.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. But so Vlad, where are you today on your journey? Where do you see yourself going?
Yeah, we have like a vision board here on my side. I'm looking at it all the time, every day. And they might be big goals, 10x goals. This book, The Gap and the Gain. I have another book that I'm reading, Be a Future Self Now. And so I'm picturing myself in 5 years where I want to be and the steps that I need to take now to be there. And I know they might be huge goals, but I want to buy a property in Costa Rica because it's one of my favorite vacation spots. I want to travel at least 2 months a year without worrying where's my next paycheck coming from. I want to be a GP or LP in 25,000 doors by year 2027. So they're huge, bold goals, and they're completely achievable if you work hard enough. It's not like you write them down and you just sit, do nothing. No, you really just break it down to basics, drive forward, and just, because ultimately it's all an adventure. If you think about it, real estate is fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, give you another story. This is my last one, I promise. I had to stop a UPS truck from leaving because I needed to overnight UPS documents to close the Kansas City deal.
Okay.
Which is, and people like, how can you stop a UPS truck from leaving? Easy, you just stand in front of it, and it's not going to drive over you. I mean, the guy saw my face, and I'm like, you cannot leave. I need to give you this so you can mail it, because it has to get to Kansas City overnight, because we're not going to close. So it's these things that you got to do and not give up, and don't put your head down. Always find a solution. The question should be, what do we need to do to solve this? Not like, oh my God, there's nothing we can do.
Right.
That's not an answer.
Yeah.
So.
No is not acceptable. How can you come up with a way to do this? Exactly. Very nice. Very nice. So Vlad, is there something you do personally, or perhaps through your business, that you can mention that you do to, in a way, help others in a way to give back?
Yeah. One of the big things, I like to educate people, especially that are losing a lot of money now in stock market, 401k, savings account. I don't even know who's doing that nowadays, but I'm teaching them another way of making money, of using their capital, investing it into something, and making their money work for them instead of them working for money. So, and in my case, it's multifamily. It can be anything. It can be storage, land development, anything that you can think of. But people are not aware of this. They think the only thing, what are being taught? 401k, maybe self-directed IRA, savings. That's it. Or under your mattress.
Right. That's it.
But that's it. Nobody knows anything. And people are asking me, they're like, wait, you targeting 20% IRR in 5 years? Is that a Ponzi scheme? I'm like, no, it's not. You don't believe me? I'll introduce you to 100 people that do the same thing, that give even higher returns than 20.
Right.
RV parks, possibly. But, so I'm trying to give back and teach people that there's so many ways to make money, and that you don't have to spend and work for 12 hours each day. Get your money to work for you, so you can be more free, spend more time on vacation, spend more time with your family and kids, and really just enjoy life, really, and retire early. That's the biggest goal. So that I'm just screaming it from the rooftops right now, because it opened my eyes.
Yeah.
And I'm very passionate about it.
We talk about that quite a bit ourselves, and we firmly believe in the fact that, listen, educate yourself, learn about financial freedom, learn about another stream of income, learn about ways to help do more and create more freedom and reliance for yourself to go and do things. You don't have to, again, if you love your job, great, do it well, and deliver. But at the same point in time, come up with another thing on the side, and because there is definitely a lack of financial education in this country. And I know a number of people tried to tackle that and tried to help with that. And I've heard of different programs that some have gotten into the schools, and I don't know whether they're still going. I hope they are, because they're, again, there's nothing wrong with the W-2 job. But at the same point in time, don't only think that that's the only way to make an income. Don't only think that the only way you can invest is through your 401k. There are other ways to do it. So well done. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's something we talk about, and we really try to get the message out as well, because it is important. So Vlad, is there something you've recently implemented in your business that's helping you to grow and scale and reach your goals?
Yeah, I read this book called The One Thing by Gary Keller. So I had this issue, and I'm sure a lot of people do. Everybody's like, oh, I need to be busy. And if you're busy, something's going to happen. You're not supposed to be busy for the sake of being busy.
Right.
You can be busy, scrolling through Facebook. That's not really being busy. That's just like doing stuff that's not going to get you anywhere. So this book, The One Thing, tells you have to concentrate on one task that is going to take you to the next level. Forget about being busy just to say, oh my God, I'm swamped, I'm working for 10 hours. But you're really not. And what are the results that this thing is producing? So I've identified what I needed to do to get to the next level. And by reading this book, it really opened my eyes. They're like, you don't have to have 10 goals. Have 3. I have 1. Just be really, really good at it. Like really awesome. And push as hard as hard as you can to achieve that goal. And when you do, you can move on to the next one and everything else will open. So I have identified what I needed to do. And for example, in my case, it's actually 2 things. I'm finding deals and I'm raising capital, right?
Yeah.
So, and I'm also right now I'm working on improving my asset management skills and investor relation skills as well.
Okay.
But 2 things that really will take me to all these things that I mentioned previously, being a GP, buying a property in Costa Rica, is raising capital and finding deals. Because if I raise capital, I get paid as well. And of course, if I find deals, I'm in a deal. So that increases my door count, passive income, and you see where it goes. So these are the things that I'm concentrating on. And I know they are just a pain if you think about it, right? You're on the phone all the time, you constantly talking, you constantly have Zoom calls, but that's exactly where I have to be.
Yeah, absolutely. The one thing, it's a great book. I definitely would recommend that as well. So good. So Vlad, what advice would you give to somebody who's considering making a path change?
Yeah, one of the things is please connect with fellow investors or with just people. Ask them questions. The biggest thing is people are afraid to ask questions because they might not get a reply that they want, or people might not answer them. But we're here. I'm here. Connect with me on social media. Connect with me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, write me an email, call me or text me. I'll reply. I'll make a connection. I'll take time because so much was given to me, and I'm so appreciative to all the people that given their time. I'm here to pay it forward. So all you have to do is just ask a question. Oh, how can I invest in, let's say, multifamily? Oh, well, I'll give you a few options that you can do. You don't have to leave your W-2. You want to be a doctor, attorney, engineer, anything. Do what you have to do. A couple of my friends are IT people. They don't want to leave their job. They like it. But at the same time, they're investing in my deals and they're getting passive income and tax benefits. Exactly what they're looking for. And they're like, oh my God, so they don't have to spend as much time behind the computer, but spend more time being on the playground, swimming in the ocean, relaxing, just spending time with their family. So this is what I'm trying to get across. Ask a question, reach out to us. We're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that's we say the same thing with respect to that. First of all, we have found that most people that are doing real estate investing are willing to give some advice and some pointers and answer some questions, and so ask. Exactly. And then number 2, again, a lot of people, same as you, a lot of people were very gracious with some of their time and ideas and concepts as we were getting started. So we want to pay it forward. That's why we do this podcast. That's why we do 2 monthly meetups that we, where we meet. That's why we talk to both investors as well as people just who are trying to learn. So yeah, absolutely. Good. So Vlad, what's the best way for folks to reach you?
Yeah, I'm everywhere. I have a very unique first name and last name. Well, last name for sure, Vlad Arakcheyev. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm trying to figure that out. I started TikToking. I'm trying to really figure that out. I'm about to launch my YouTube channel, and I'm on LinkedIn, Vlad Arakcheyev. And of course, you can email me, text me, connect with me. I'm trying to be as active as possible on social media, and I check it daily. At a specific time. I'm not try checking it throughout the day. So if I don't reply right away, give me a few hours, maybe a day, and I'll reply.
Excellent. Good. Well, we'd really like to thank you, Vlad, for being on the show today. Certainly appreciate your time.
Of course. Thank you so much. I hope I was really helpful and a bit entertaining. So
Absolutely. So thank you again, Vlad. We'd also like to thank our listeners. Please continue to give us a 5-star rating so we can bring you more great content like our show today with Vlad Arakcheyev. And thank you, folks. Reach out to Bill and myself. We are happy to take questions, happy to have discussions with folks. Our website is parkcapitalpartners.com, parkcapitalpartnersllc.com. And remember, we also have 2 important things that are going on that we want to just remind everybody of. First of all, that is that we have the Park Capital Partners Value Add Fund, which is a 506c fund open today to accredited investors. And then finally, we have the Park Capital Foundation, which is a 501(c) nonprofit that Bill and I created as a way that we give back. The way that works very quickly is that, first of all, Bill and I fund the operations of that foundation so that all the work donated goes to do its best work, which is to help others. We donate personally, we donate corporately. And third, when investors invest with us in one of our projects, we make a donation to honor that investor to a pre-selected list of 15 different charities. So reach out, folks. We're available anytime, parkcapitalpartnersllc.com. And again, thank you, Vlad, for being on. And remember, folks, the road less traveled may be calling you. We recommend that you listen and take action. Thanks for joining.